Welcome to my 282nd video on my work with 00 gauge. This video will feature yet another rolling road. I've gone through quite a saga with rolling roads. I initially bought the Hammant Morgan HM Loco tester, see part 24 of this series. The track base of that was solid, but the small brass rollers that came with it were very awkward to keep positioned on the track and generally didn't work well. Next, I bought a set of DCC Concepts rollers. Those can be used on any track, including the H&M base, and they can be set up to work with any gauge from N to EM, although I've only used them with 00 gauge so far. Using the DCC Concepts rollers with the H&M base produced quite a functional rolling road that I used for several years. But eventually, quite recently, I came across a Hornby rolling road selling for less than half the RRP, with 2 extra rollers. I bought that and have generally been very happy with how it works, see part 277 of this series. Even more recently, I saw this new type of rolling road offered for sale on eBay, new, at a price less than half the RRP for the Hornby rolling road. Hornby's current RRP is £119.99 for their rolling road. This new one was offered for £48. I went ahead and bought one, more out of a spirit of curiosity than because I actually needed it. Here's how the new rolling road arrived. It came packed in a shipping tube like those used for posters and back scenes and similar. It didn't come with any instructions. There was no branding mark anywhere to indicate where this was made or by whom. Here's the new rolling road with the plastic taken off the rollers and the wire unwrapped. The wire came with banana plugs on one end to be plugged into the rolling road and with a micro stereo plug on the other end. I can't quite imagine why, as I've never seen a power controller with output through a micro stereo socket. The wire did come with a connector in the middle so that the 2 ends could be separated without the need for cutting. Here's the connector between the 2 parts of the wire. Pushing on the tabs frees the wires. I took the wires for one side out of the connector. I ended up putting the connector back on and using it to connect the ends of the rolling road wires with the banana plugs to wires from a power controller. Then the banana plugs were pushed into the ends of the side tubes of the rolling road. This rolling road came with 8 sets of rollers fitted, which should be enough for pretty much any Loco, certainly enough for the driving wheels, plus a bit of additional support. I put a Loco on the rolling road. This is a mainline Royal Scot. Or it might actually be Bachmann, I'm not 100% sure, same tooling originally. I had trouble getting anything to go on the new rolling road, and I really wasn't sure why. I tested the continuity of the wires that came with the rolling road. It was okay. I tested the power across the side tubes of the rolling road and to the brass rollers themselves. A perfectly reasonable voltage showed there, 12.71 volts showing here. So the power was getting to the rollers, just not getting through the rollers to the Loco. I was eventually able to get Locos to run on the new rolling road. The critical point was that the positioning of the rollers was extremely fiddly. They had to be got just right under at least the driving wheels of the Loco, or nothing would run. Well, honestly, I'd have to say, we should probably put the light off at the back there. I can't really recommend this style of rolling road. Well, it depends. It's better than nothing. But the Hornby one is definitely better, there's no doubt about that. This is probably better than the Hammant Morgan one. Oh, see, it just keeps stopping, though. These little tiny rollers just don't make good connection with the wheels. You've got to be, it's very, very fiddly about how precisely you precision those. And even then, they don't make very good connection, generally. And the jerkiness here, I'm pretty sure, is just from the rolling road. This engine, see, that's the whole point. You want to be able to test an engine, but you're not really testing an engine on this because it runs better on the track than it runs on here. Because it's just not getting reliable connection. I'll maybe fish out another Loco just to give it a try, see if it works any better. But it's... the Hornby, I would say, even though the Hornby costs, well, the Hornby costs more than twice as much as this. I got my Hornby for not that much more than this used. But even if you have to pay twice as much as this to buy a Hornby used, I think you're better off buying the Hornby Rolling Road, because it is a lot easier to use and more, engines just run much more smoothly and reliably on it. Let me turn that over. Oh. Famous last words. Well, I've got backwards power on there, but of course the thing's not going, you see. Goes if I poke it, but yeah, as I say, it's just, you just don't get very good connection between these tiny little brass rollers and the wheels. Well, and also, of course, you're relying on the power getting through to the brass rollers in the first place, but I think it's more the contact between the brass rollers and the wheels that's the problem. I'll try it with one more engine, and it's always around as a possibility, but I have to say, definitely, I would say the Hornby Rolling Road is by far the best available at the moment. It really is tricky to get anything to run on this. You know, it's just, this is actually, this was harder than the other because it's only got two sets of wheels picking up. It's only got those two sets of driving wheels there picking up. The tender's not doing anything. Oh, sorry, we're getting chimes now for 10 o'clock. But I mean, you know, and if I turn it over and try and put it on reverse, it did go on reverse. It maintained its connection on reverse. I didn't touch it. I'm just touching the power control of it. But it's fiddly as heck to get those rollers lined up. You just have to keep tweaking their position to get the power to go through. And if you just tweak them a bit off, famously, see, it stops again. See, it stopped. I just touched it and it stopped, and now I can't get it going again, famously. And now it's totally fallen off the rollers. Oh, well, I'm not going to be able to get that back on with one hand, I don't think. Oh, I did. Well, I didn't get it on perfectly, but I got it on enough. Famous last words. And now it's stopped again. But you see what I mean? You know, it's not very good as a rolling road for testing because it just keeps stopping and starting because it doesn't make good connection. Oh well. I wonder if it's possible at all to run a 3-rail Loco on here, which, you know, I run as much 3-rail almost as I do 2-rail, although I've got more 2-rail layouts. We'll see. I'm not sure. You can run a 3-rail fairly easily on the Hornby Rolling Road because it's mounted high enough that you can get under and supply power to the center rail contacts. Well, it is actually possible to get a 3-rail Loco running on here because that center rail, see, they've got that center rail there between, and if you just connect the power to one side, if you connect the power to that, that will just about pick up from the center things, although, again, it's just randomly stopped, and that, it's just, these just don't pick up well. Famous last words. It's always just, you gotta keep mucking around. It really is very difficult. See, I've got it again now, but it's very difficult to position the thing so it picks up. Now it's going quite fast, but it's a fiddly business. You've got to keep fiddling with those little things. That's actually not much power, though. That's only about 6 volts now. That's quite low power. Okay, and it's stopped again. I don't know. Turn the power up a little bit again and poke it again. Well, I think you get the picture here anyway. Yes, it is possible to run 3-rail Locos, but running any kind of Loco is kind of annoyingly iffy because of the problems persuading the wheels to pick up from those little rollers. And there it goes. It runs for a bit and then it stops again. Oh, this just gets ridiculous. Anyway, You've certainly seen the general idea.